Hi everyone, welcome to my video on static routing. On your Edmodo screen, come over and click on your class on the side, and then go up to Folders, and you should see one called Exam Review, and there's many different activities that I've put in here, and there will be more as I make more. The first one that you'll open is called May 30 Static. This is the one that I created that will grade it as you go. This one down here is just plain. I might need to delete that one. So while I click this one, I'm going to show you the handout that I have. You can print this out and use this and fill it out as you work through the activity, and you'll probably find it helpful. This has all of the IP addresses on it that you will need to go with this activity. I should have put them in the activity window, but I forgot. So I apologize about that. So here comes, oops, I guess I'd already opened it. Alright, waiting for our packet tracer window to open. And I like to tile my activity with the instructions on the left and the topology window on the right. You may do it a different way, but I find this way helpful. So, when we look at our instructions, the first thing it says is to configure the two hosts with the information provided. On PC 0, I'm going to go to the PC and click on Desktop, and then click on IP Configuration, and my IP address is 10.0.0.2. It comes up with the default subnet mask for a Class A, and then the default gateway, it says, is 10.0.0.1. So I am done with configuring that side. And I like to hover over and make sure, and notice that it now has an IP address and it has the default gateway. So then I come over onto the right and I go to my desktop, IP configuration, and this one is 30.0.0.2. Default subnet mask 30.0.0.1 is my default gateway. And I double check to make sure that that shows up. By hovering over a device, you can see what IP addresses have been configured. And then it says configure the fast Ethernet and serial interfaces of both routers. How do you know what the fast Ethernet addresses are? Well, when we look up here at PC 0, we see that its IP address is 10.0.0.2, and the default gateway is 10.0.0.1. Well, the default gateway for this host is the fast Ethernet port on this router. So that's where we get the fast Ethernet address. That'll be 10.0.0.1. And then our serial address, that we're getting, I actually have it listed right here. Okay, so we're going to configure router 0 with our IP addresses. And we have to get to privileged, and then we have to get to global, and then we're going to go into our interface mode. And our first interface is going to be fast Ethernet 0/0, IP address 10.0.0.1 because that's the default gateway address, and then we use the subnet mask that we were given, and then we always have to do no shutdown, otherwise our interface is shut down by default. Notice once I do that, it says change state to up, and I get green lights. Next, I'm going to do my serial interface, and this one is serial 0/0/0, and I got that from right here. And that IP address is 20.0.0.1. 255.0.0.0. Now, how do we know which one gets the clock rate? Well, if I hover on this cable, see how the left-hand side comes up with the clock rate? You can kind of see that better if I spread this out. If I point to that, see how the clock rate shows up on the clock shows up at the left? That means that's the DCE end, and that gets the clock rate. So I am going to configure this one with the clock rate. And then, of course, no shutdown. Now, it still says change state to down, and we still have red lights. That's because we have to configure our interface on both sides. We have to do the serial interface on both sides before it will show up. So let's do router 1. Interface FA0/0, and this one is 30.0.0.1. No shutdown. I double check and I get green lights, so that's a good sign. And then I changed my interface serial 0/0. Now this one, if you look on here, it's 0/0, not 0/0/0. You've got to go with what interfaces are actually on your router. Now, if I hadn't had that in the instructions, you could tell that by pointing at this router and see how you can see the serial is named serial 0/0. So that's a way for you to find that. Just a little tip for you. Alright, now we're going to put in our IP address, and this side is 20.0.0.2. And no shutdown, and let's see if the magic happens. Change state to up, green lights. Okay, so if I have green lights everywhere, that means this is all working, right? Well, let's check it. If we come over here to PC0, to our command prompt, and we type in ping, and I want to check this host over here. Remember that host address was 30.0.0.2. So I'm going to check that and see if I can get there. And it is unreachable. I cannot get there. Why does that not work? Well, we've got everything connected, but we didn't give it a path. If we look at the routing table, all we have are our directly connected devices. So we have network 10 and network 20, but we don't have network 30 over here that we're trying to get to. So let's see if we can remedy that. So we're going to put in a static route. We have to be at the correct prompt. The correct prompt is global. Okay, so at global, I start off my command with IP route, and then where is it I want to go? Well, I want to go over here to this destination network. Remember when we looked at our routing table, we had 10.0.0.0 and 20.0.0.0. Well, I want to get to 30.0.0.0. Now remember, this is the network address, not the host address. So it's anything that starts with 30 will match this. Now, here's where I have two choices. We have two ways of saying how we can get there. We can either say, well, I want to get to that 30 network, and I need to go out this port. And that's going to be the port on my router. So if I'm configuring this router right here, it's going to be this port. Or I can say, well, I want to get to this network over here, and I know that the next hop is right here. If I use the next hop, I have to use the next hop IP address. So on my own router, I use the port number, and on the other router, if I reference the other router, I'm using their IP address. So here the instructions say to use the exit interface. Well, the exit interface on this router is serial 0/0/0. Now, I also have to set a path back. If I ping over here again, like I did before, by the way, if you hit the up arrow, it repeats the previous command. So it's going to try to ping again, and it times out. It's not getting there. What happens is we've given it a path to get over here to PC1, but remember ping has an echo, and so it's not allowing that data to come back because we have no path from this router to this router. So let's fix that. So we're going to come in here to router 1, and we're going to get to global. I'm going to put in IP route, and remember the network we're trying to get to is this one over here, which is the 10.0.0.0. Now this time it says that instead of using the exit interface, it wants us to use the next hop IP address. So right now I'm on this router. Remember, I had two choices. I could either use this port number or I could use this IP address. They want us to use the next hop IP address. That's going to be the IP address of the serial on this router. So if I look over here, that's this one, 20.0.0.1. Oops. Okay, notice my completion changed to 100. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to ping it again. And success. See how it's coming back? And I can ping from the other direction, just to make sure. 10.0.0. Well, let's do 2 because that's the host. And that one works as well. So if you're able to do this lab and do it on your own and go through and follow this video tutorial a couple of times, I'm sure you'll have static routing. As you know, if you have any questions, you can still email me or come and ask me in class. Hope you liked my video. Oh, that's not where I'm supposed to be. There we go.